What do you make of Kevin Fiala, and is he the most expendable piece on this Wild team at the moment?
I mean, I think he's going to be the one that will yield you the most return. So if they're looking for somebody that can come in immediately, Kevin Fiala is the guy that would go. I mean, beyond kind of his lack of production early on, again, we saw what he was capable of doing last season and even a little bit the year before. But I think really it started in this offseason when the Minnesota Wild decided to take Kevin Fiala to arbitration and said, hey, man, we're going to force this on you. And then, while they're signing big contracts and big checks to guys like Joel Eriksson Ek, who got an 8-year deal, Kirill Kaprizov, obviously, who's got the $9 million a year. Kevin Fiala got the 1 year for 5.5, which kind of says a lot about what management's thinking about him, right? Are they willing to move forward? So, I mean, I think even that offseason kind of not tirade, but some of that stuff that happened in the offseason is even more telling. I mean, Kevin Fiala had mentioned to us at training camp that he was coming in with as quote fire in his eyes, because he did probably take a little bit of offense that Bill Guerin and management didn't want to lock him in for a longer term deal, because he's a guy that is looking for a home. He wants to make Minnesota a home, I believe. But I don't know that Minnesota necessarily wants that. And as we see kind of a couple more rifts starting to form, Fiala's been taken off the power play. He's been taken off the penalty kill. He's been short shifted a little bit too, and pulled out in circumstances. And I think a lot of that has to do with not necessarily just, again, his lack of production, but also part of it, Kevin plays a very mental game, and he gets, he needs to mature still a little bit. I think we are seeing growths and strides, but I think sometimes that immaturity comes out in stupid penalties and in, passes that are being forced and in gripping the stick too tightly. So I think that's a part of the reason you're seeing them pull back on Fiala and just trying to figure out what to do. They've tried to give him different pieces to get him going. It hasn't worked. So I think that's why you're seeing the rumors fly around about JT Miller or Bo Horvat in exchange for Fiala, which I think would be a fair trade. I'm curious to see what kind of continues to transpire about that.